Hello YouTube, it's Jay from CB Outdoors. Just a quick review, well not review, first impressions of my rough shooting shotgun. It is a Hatsan Escort Magnum 3-inch chamber, semi-automatic 3-shot, 12 gauge shotgun, 28-inch barrel. It's got the new extended choke tube with the Hatsans. It is a gas operated 12 gauge semi-automatic, which means obviously it recycles its gas. It's not like inertia like most of the Benellis. I know some of the Berettas are inertia driven as well, as far as I know, and I think the new Browning semi-automatic, which replaces the Maxus, or is a new line for Browning, is going to be inertia driven as well. So some of the manufacturers are going away from the old tried and tested gas driven, which is obviously a lot cleaner on the actual inertia driven, so you don't have to clean it as much, and it's a bit more reliable as well. But to be honest, for the price of this gun, which I picked it up for $4.70 from my local gun shop, I've put about 500 cartridges for it, something like that. Used it for a mixture of clays, but mainly it is my go-to rough shoot gun and pigeon shooting gun, and I've had no problems with it. It's cycled everything that I could wish it could cycle. I haven't really I've done a bit of an easy braking period. Most obviously semi-autos should be broken in by big cartridges, obviously heavy loads like 32s, 36 grams, something like that, obviously loosening up the internal mechanisms and the return springs, so obviously they will cycle smaller 28 gram clay loads, obviously not a lot of kickback for them. But yeah, let's go through it quickly. It's, like I said, Hatsan Escort, 28-inch barrel, synthetic stock, which is obviously all plastic. It has a magazine cut-off, which obviously gives you the opportunity to obviously cut the magazine off and obviously eject the round and load one in. If you want to change obviously loads and things like that, if you see a fox and you've say got a number 6 shot pigeon load in there, obviously you could hit the magazine cut off, then obviously whack your say SG in there or something a little bit bigger, and obviously dispatch your fox, and obviously go back to what you normally would do if you're shooting pigeons and things like that with your clear pigeons, with your number 7s. Be quite honest, it's the first semi-auto I've actually owned myself. Really easy to use, really easy to strip, really easy to shoot. Pretty soft shooter, to be quite honest, for a semi-auto. One of my mates has got a Brunelli Super Sport, which is obviously inertia driven. I find this is more softer recoil than actually that. I don't know obviously where it's to do with obviously this being gas and that being inertia driven. Obviously there's a lot more going on in the actual Brunelli than there is in the cheap little Hatsan. But yeah, first impressions, really good gun. Very dependable. You read all the horror stories on the internet about them being a cheap pile of crap and they're only good for about 5 minutes and the barrel's rusty and all that, but at the end of the day, it's a gun. If you clean it, if you look after it, it's gonna look after you. Right, before I strip it down, do a quick safety check. I know it's clear, but obviously the obligatory YouTube safety check I'll do. There you go, that's clear. Tube's clear. Let's quick knock the bolt back. And in the mag well, it's totally clear as well. There's nothing in there at all. Alright, there you go. Another nifty little feature with the Escorts as well is the slide release, the bolt release, is actually on the bottom. So the silver, when obviously you load a round in it, obviously it flicks the slide release and obviously loads the round as well, which is another feature, because most of the Berettas and the Maxis and the Benellis have a slide release where the magazine cut-off tube is on this one, which is a little bit different. So there you go. Like I said, it's a 3-shot semi, obviously UK legal. 2 in the tube, 1 in the tube, sorry, and well, 1 in the barrel, and 2 in the mag tube underneath. Little Hatsans come with these little rubber stoppers as well, which you put over the obviously the bolt handle. which stops you scratching all your nice expensive guns in the cabinet, which is a nice little feature, I think, to be honest. Triggers, nothing out of the ordinary, pretty crisp pull, but what can I say really, for a £400 semi-auto shotgun, you pull the trigger, it goes bang, that's it. Same standard pop button safety on the actual trigger. Away from you, if you shoulder, this is a right-handed gun, so obviously you shoulder it in the right hand. Away from you is safe, into you is off. That is denoted by the little red indicator there. So red is live, obviously no red marker is off, safe. Right, to strip it down, there's a little screw-in end cap, a bit like the Brita A300s and most of them that are gas driven. You unscrew the end cap, pop the end cap off, pop the trigger guard off, the hand guard, and then what you do to disengage the barrel, you pull the bolt back a tiny bit, just feed the barrel out, and that's it. There you go, there's your barrel, all done. Right. There's the business end. That is your gas piston, and that was the piston O-ring seal. I'll show that in a second. Two-stage gas piston. This is new from the from Hatsan, as far as I know. I think they've I don't know if it's brand spanking new or they've updated it, so it's a little bit more reliable. It cycles a little bit better on the old loads, but yeah, two-stage piston, obviously two-stage seal, one big graphite seal at the actual bottom there, and then that little seal that fell on the floor sits at the top there, obviously where the gas is pumped back into it. It pumps back, obviously pushes it all back. There's your little O-ring that goes obviously on the business end of the barrel, where obviously stops all the gases going forward, and make sure obviously all the gases are pushed back actually into the mechanism. There's your mech. Obviously there's your return spring and that. To strip these totally, these Hatsans, it's a bit like the Britas. You've got a little notch in the actual bolt. Once I get it out, I'll show you. You have to pull the charging, obviously the bolt back. Sorry about that dog, it's a pain in the arse. Just obviously pops out, and that's it. And you slowly release it, and obviously it all pops out. And there we go. That's it, all stripped. There's your return spring. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a bloody big spring. Your bolt actually does come off as well. You just lift up the back, slide it forward, and obviously it all comes up. Nice little feature is it's an exposed, obviously, bolt spring. Firing pin spring at the bottom there, so obviously you can get in there with a nice bit of cleaner and obviously clean it up, lube it up. Not tried to actually strip the bolt down totally, haven't had any need to, where it's obviously brand spanking new. Basically, obviously it's only had about 500 cartridges for it, if that's something like that. So it's probably had about 3 cleans for it. And I haven't felt the need to do anything because it's not obviously given me any problems or anything like that. Every time it strikes a cartridge, it fires, and that's all I'm worried about really. There's your obviously your bolt carrier and your spring assembly, obviously carry out from the front of it, and this can be stripped as well. You just lift it up, it basically all comes apart, so you can clean it and obviously give it a good old going over. To assemble it back, 2 little lugs, push into the top there, that's it. Put your bolt back on, slide it over the top, it sits on the top there, done, dusted. Just a quick reassembly for you. Spring goes on first. Slide that over, give it a quick wiggle so obviously the runners engage. I'll show you about the bolt actually. And there is a tiny, see the round notch in the actual bolt. Obviously that has to be lined up so you can release the charging handle. So you can pull it out, so obviously you can disengage it and pull it out of the actual gun. But that little notch, little round notch there, that's the one that needs to obviously be lined up so you can pull the actual handle off. Alright, let's whack it back on. As I said, line it up with the rails, so push it back, Can be a bit fiddly, but it does go. There she goes. What I normally do, put one finger over it, push it back, grab my charging handle, he says, there we go, one finger out. So easier said and done when you're on camera. It's a lot less fiddly on a bench, believe me. Have a lot less fiddly. Right. There we go. Nearly. He says. If she wants to go home. There she goes. Once you've got it on the bench, obviously you can easily lay it down, but at the moment I'm trying to wrestle it in the air, obviously to make sure it obviously lines up in the actual case. That's it basically. Obviously fitting the barrel is totally reverse. One of the things I do say doing, I don't know if they recommend it in the actual manual, is obviously the piston goes on like that. But obviously it's quite serrated, so I've seen some people actually put the O-ring over the top and obviously onto the actual piston assembly before they actually put it together. What I like to do is, just put that down for a minute, is inside the obviously the barrel assembly, and there's two little holes here which obviously divert the gas back in and obviously work the mechanism. If you insert the O-ring, there's a little ridge at the back where the O-ring actually sits in, so obviously when you slide the barrel back on there's no real chance of obviously cutting it with the piston assembly and obviously basically messing up your gas O-ring and obviously rendering the gun inoperable until you get a new obviously sealing gasket. But that slides over the back, obviously line it up a tiny bit and your bolt, slide it back, slips into place. What I normally do, once it slips into place, slide the bolt back, lock the bolt in position, and it obviously gives you the opportunity to slide your four grip in there, slide it in, a few turns down, don't need to be over tight, and just give it a quick safety check, quick function check, cycle's perfectly okay. But yeah, that's it basically. Really easy to strip down, really easy to clean. If you need to take the trigger group out, it's equally as easy. You've got two little pins, roll pins, that you need to knock out, and obviously the whole trigger assembly, including the obviously the slide release and the feed ramp, come out in one unit to give it a good clean up. One other thing with the new Hatsans, the extended chokes are only hand tight. There's no actual tool to remove them or obviously tighten them up. They're only hand tight. So like when you put say 10 clay cartridges through it, or a decent sized game cartridge, they do tend to actually come loose, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but at the end of the day it's a sub £400 shotgun, so you're not expecting the world really. And that's another, just having a tiny little gripe, but it doesn't affect obviously the way the shotgun shoots or anything like that. Another one is the sighting system as well. The sights has only got obviously one brass bead at the top. You can probably change it, you can probably put a Dago night sight on it or anything like that, but I've noticed the branding and some of the more expensive Berettas have got obviously an insight like that, and they've also got a mid bead as well, so obviously you can line it up and you can get more a better shot picture basically. and we line the 2 beads up. And as long as you've got your target lined up in that, obviously pull the trigger. What you see is what you get. Pretty comfortable shooter. Like I said, synthetic plastic socks, nothing major. It's got a nice cushy back pad. We do a nice recoil reduction in it, but nothing amazing like the Browning sort of Berettas or something like that. No fancy name for it. But that's it. Yeah. For a cheap shotgun, semi-automatic, it's really good. Like I said, I've only used it a few times. So I've not really lived with a gun at the moment, but what we'll do is in a couple of months' time, once I've used it a bit more and once I've lived with it, I'll revisit it, show you it being shot, show you it cycling some obviously small clay loads and bits and pieces, and I'll let you know. I might still love it, I might have hated it, sold it and got something else. Originally I wanted the Browning Maxus in the camo, but I thought I'm not doing a lot of game shooting at the moment, so I might as well buy something a bit cheap. And then later on, obviously, once the pigeon season picks up and bits, well, during the season, pigeons over here, but once the pigeon shooting picks up a bit, I'll probably treat myself to something a little bit nicer. But to be honest, this does the job really well. If you want it as a general game gun, great. If you want it as a clay basher as well, it does everything that a 1700, 1500 pound Browning or Beretta would do. A little bit more crude, don't look as nice, but at the end of the day, you pay your money, you take your choices. If you like the first impressions, whack us a like. If you've got any comments, obviously hit us up in the comments box. If you want any more specs or lengths, weights, bits and pieces for the actual gun, obviously hit me up in the comments box. I'll try and obviously get back to you as soon as possible. But that's it, YouTube. If you like what we do, obviously hit the subscribe button, it helps no end. But that's it. Thanks a lot. Cheers for watching. Later on.